You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.
All right. Old intro, I guess. This is not the LA Football Podcast, but it is the LA Fan Base Network, Rams Skinny Podcast here. I was just looking through old videos. I'm like, we need like a just full on longer Rams one for these live streams. We haven't done a live in forever. So didn't even watch it all the way through. So there we go. But yeah, day one of free agency frenzy. I wouldn't say in the books. It's only 5:45. I'm sure some other stuff will come trickling through in the evening, and then we'll hit it again tomorrow. But busy day. We're gonna get all into it. We'll let some people get in here. But Skinny T, what's up, man? How we doing today? How you feeling?
Man, I've been going hard since 6:30 this morning. I'm doing great. I think for the very first time we can say we've got you covered from top to bottom for Rams free agency, except for one thing. Hunter Long gone.
Yeah, didn't see that coming. It wasn't even really announced. I think he was he? I don't even. Was he going to be a free agent, or did they legit just like release him and he was still like had a year under contract?
Could be. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of impact he's had on this team since joining in the trade for Jalen Ramsey. So, but we'll get that covered too. So we'll get everything done.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, how you holding up before we get into it? We'll let more people kind of get in here. Again, we haven't done a live in a while, so glad everyone who does trickle in here. Obviously, there's been a lot of Twitter or X issues throughout the day, so I don't even think our stream is going live. I set it up for it, but it doesn't look like it's there. So hopefully you're over on YouTube watching us on our Rams LAFB. Because yeah, I just think with the Twitter issues, I'm sure there's something to do with all their streaming stuff and whatever. So yeah, it's been a day. How are you? You said going since 6:30. How are you holding up?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually like wired. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just looking for new information, writing new information up. It's exhilarating. This is a really fun time of year.
Yeah.
I got NFL Plus going on in the background. They play basically the same like 3 or 4 commercials over and over again in between the stuff. And so I got those memorized. Yeah.
It's always fun. So, we were joking earlier. We obviously cover all LA sports, and it's like, all right, it's free agency. Like this is the focus today. Rams, obviously, we do the Chargers as well. We do the Raiders as well now, at least on site. Our actual Chargers show, Chargers Unleashed, our good buddies Dan and Jake, who are part of the network, they're live right now breaking down the Chargers. So busy day, and of course, Dodgers announced Dave Roberts' new record-breaking extension today, so we had to hit on that news. USC is humming. They get another commitment today, plus some other rumors of commitments. It's like, can't everyone else just like stop for this and then they can pick back up like later? I was just waiting for the Lakers to like have some big news break too. It's like, that's just nature of the beast, I guess.
Yeah. It's it's a good problem to have because we've had those days where it's like a real slow news day. And you got to get pretty creative. I mean, just a couple of days, I think maybe even Sunday was kind of a slow news day. So
yeah, exactly. So can't complain. So all right, well, let's we will start getting into it a little bit real quick. Live show, as always, brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Make sure to head to betonline.ag. All the best money lines, all the best game spreads, wagering, fun that you can have. Every sport out there you can cover, you can wager on. So betonline.ag. Tell them the guys at the LAFB network sent you. Let's start with yesterday really quick. And we don't have to go over every single deal, but in reality, yesterday plus today, it's been about 6 transactions or so, obviously some losses. So, we can probably hit on most of them, just kind of grade and see how they did. But let's just start with yesterday, because that's the big news. Davante Adams signs a 2-year, $46 million deal. I believe $26 million guaranteed total over the 2 years. Before I give my thoughts, just your thoughts. I mean, we kind of saw the tea leaves that it could happen. I think for sure in LA, whether it was the Rams or the Chargers. But the Rams strike before the new league year even begins, since Adams was officially already waived and a free agent. Just your thoughts overall on adding Adams.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible. I think he's a 1,000-yard receiver, even though he played on 2 different teams and didn't really come on till late in the season. But I think automatically what comes to mind is the Allen Robinson flub from just a couple of years ago. But what's different about this one is that Adams still gets plenty of separation, so he's going to be an attractive target for our guy Stafford. And he's been really productive. Even amid the turmoil, even amid losing quarterbacks and changing teams and playing on bad teams, and so that's a sign that he's going to continue that. So that's just kind of my initial thoughts. I've seen a lot of people comparing, why would you go for him when you could keep Cooper Kupp? I think this is I think this is an upgrade from Cooper Kupp. I think Kupp is in his decline, and so I still think this is the right move. This is the right way to go. So I think it's got to you've got Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. I mean, it's exciting on paper.
Yeah, it's my thought initially. What's up, Monty? What's up, man? How we doing? Thanks for hanging out. Rams are working. Rams are always working. It's funny. Before I even said, since we cover both teams, Rams and Chargers. It's like, Rams are always moving. There's always something happening, whether it's good or bad. Like, things are happening. And the Chargers have just been basically silent today, outside of a few like internal transactions. Obviously, getting Khalil Mack back was big for them, and Chargers fans are just not happy. It's like doomsday. When you have $93 million in cap space and you don't go after anyone, I get it. It can be a little frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. They have a lot of things to get to.
Yeah.
What are your Davante Adams thoughts?
Yeah. So I was actually leaving the zoo yesterday. Took my daughter to the zoo with her cousin. When the news broke, of course, it's like whenever big news breaks, it's like you're never just like waiting for it on your computer. But luckily you were around, working hard as you always are. But yeah, I think it wasn't a huge shock just because we had kind of anticipated it coming. It just felt like a fit, regardless if the whole Stafford leaves, Aaron Rodgers comes, or Stafford's like, regardless, it just felt like Adams was going to end up in LA, and the Rams were always a little better fit than the Chargers. Chargers may have had more of a need, but based on Sean McVay versus Greg Roman and the passing offense, it just felt always like a better fit. What I was surprised about was the price point. And I kind of thought, I know Adams last year, or was going to have, if he stayed with the Jets, like a $39 million cap hit. So obviously was making a lot. But my kind of interpretation was, by releasing him, he's 32 years old. He would kind of get I don't want to say a sweetheart deal, but would be quite a bit cheaper. And I don't have it in front of me. I can pull it up here in just a second, maybe when you're talking, but I'm pretty sure this makes him on a yearly average, like top 10 receivers in football, maybe even a little higher than that. And so I do agree with you that I think, based on what we saw down the stretch, the last 6 games, statistically, Adams versus Kupp, it wasn't close. Adams had like almost 600 yards. I think he had 6 touchdowns, 42 receptions or whatever in those 6 games. And Kupp was like a fraction of that, as we all know, whether that was his fault or not. So statistically, I think for sure Adams does seem like a little bit of an upgrade. But what was surprising to me when you see that price point, and the fact that we heard from both Les Snead directly and also other reporting that the Rams didn't even approach Kupp about a restructure or a release and re-sign or just a new deal. Basically just said, we're done. I mean, that you did a piece based on an LA Times piece just yesterday, and he basically said he met with McVay after the season. McVay just told him, hey, we're going to trade you. And like, Kupp, I think, said, like, is there something else we can like figure out? And McVay was like, nope, we're moving on. I'm sure he said it nicer. I don't know. But so that was a little surprising to me that, yes, it's close, but I do think Adams is a little bit of an upgrade. But you're giving Adams $26 million guaranteed, $23 million per AAV, and Kupp makes less than that, and you won't even like discuss. Like, if Kupp would come back on let's say, a fraction of the cost, like, do you think he's still good enough? Or they clearly, and this is what I'm getting to, they clearly were just like, we're moving past Kupp. Like, he's either not good enough or doesn't fit in the system. So that, to me, and I'll pass it to you if you want to comment on that, that to me was not surprising. It wasn't surprising that they signed him. I do think it's a good fit. I think he'll fit really well in LA. He'll fit with the team. He'll play well with Puka. But it was more of that they were so over Cooper Kupp and so willing to give an older veteran substantially more money. It was just surprising to me. I'm not saying it was bad or good or whatever. Everyone can have their own interpretations, but that was surprising to me.
Yeah, it's really interesting. That LA Times piece was really telling. Cooper Kupp, kind of laid it all out there. He's talked about how angry he was and how sad it's made him and frustrated it's made him. So it's unfortunate to see that end the way it did. And I think the writing was on the wall. We weren't really pounding the table for his trade during the season, but I think you and I were both on the same page that was probably the time his trade value was probably at its, well, it was certainly higher than it is now. I'll say that much. And to that point, they're having trouble finding a trade partner right now, which is telling about how the rest of the league sees him. Either they don't think he's worth the compensation, or they don't think he's, a playable receiver currently. Now, I think he's got plenty in the tank. I think he could do some good things as a 2 or a 3. He showed flashes. He can still catch the ball. He can still separate pretty well. But the longevity, the durability, that's all in there. And then, you think about what Davante can do with Puka Nacua and that inside-outside ability to move. Sean McVay has his choice of who he wants to play on the outside or the inside. Both of them play the slot. Both of them can play outside. Puka Nacua has been playing on the outside more, but I think we're going to see that's going to add a really interesting layer of complexity to it. So, in terms of the fit, like you were saying, love it. I would love to know what it is that changed so dramatically. I mean, obviously, Sean McVay has such great affection for Kupp, and we don't need to talk about Kupp any longer. But it's just such an intriguing thing that he's got a lot of affection for him, but he was pretty curt, sounds like, with him, and not willing to entertain, any contract negotiations, any kind of role adjustments or anything like that. It's very, very strange. And I keep thinking about that Les Snead-ism that says if it's inevitable, make it immediate. So I think maybe that kind of played into it, but I don't want to make this about Kupp. This is about Davante, and it's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, it's a good point. And last thing I'll say, we didn't talk a ton about this specifically, but we obviously see what Kupp is on Sundays and Thursdays and Mondays and Saturdays and whatever freaking day they play in the NFL now, Black Friday. But outside of that, like, we kind of just have to go off of what either beat writers tweet or what insiders say or what the player themselves say in terms of like at practice. And I remember, Skinny, we were both there last year at the Super Bowl. And there was an event, a next gen stats event put on by the NFL, and Puka Nacua was at the event as like the player representative. And I was just thinking about this while you're talking, and he was talking about how obviously he's only been with the Rams and he's new in the NFL, but the Rams have really embraced kind of this data tracking and analytics tracking that next gen stats. And I think it was Zebra Technologies is their other partner. They can really track all these different things in practice in terms of acceleration, speed, route running, all these different data points that they can track. And so Puka Nacua talked about how that's really refined his game and how offensively they've really put an emphasis on that. So the fact that this kind of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but it kind of did in a way, came out of nowhere. And the fact that Kupp's production went down on game days, but then the moving on was just so eminent, I think tells you too that they saw in practice, like, dudes just lost a step, whether it was pure speed, whether it was pure breakaway, like ability, whether it was catchability, whatever it may be, and whether it was injuries or age or whatever. Clearly there was enough data points that they were able to track throughout the season that said, hey, this is not going to fit with what we need to do to go where we're going. And even though we saw him come up in clutch, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but even though we saw him kind of come up clutch in the playoffs on a few plays, the production spoke for itself, and his utilization, the offense spoke for himself, spoke for itself. So I think that's kind of the telling thing on that. And again, I always say, like, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but then I guess we kind of do. Like, I will say this, like, we were the one kind of show basically saying since October, like, what's up with Cooper Kupp? Like, there's clearly an issue here, whether it's him or the team or something. And all the other good friends of ours too, but everyone's like, he's still great. It's the Rams' fault. Something's going on. Like he's still top 3 receiver in football. Clearly, the fact that not with the Rams, now the Rams want to move on and no one wants to trade for him. I mean, the market kind of speaks for itself. Unfortunately, I hate it because I love Cooper Kupp. So there's also the fact that I think teams just realize, hey, the Rams are going to release him anyway. We can get him on a cheaper deal than what, I mean, he has like a $29 million cap hit this year. So it's like, we'll just let him hit the market and then we'll have a small bidding war, seeing what the market does. So, but yeah, we'll just put a bow or a book, close the chapter, I should say, on that. Cooper Kupp, sad day for the Rams. But I think getting Davante Adams is certainly a nice piece, and it'll be fun to see him in horns out here.
Yeah, Puka Nacua is a little bit too obsessed with one aspect of Davante Adams that I find really interesting. The Taco Bell sponsorship, the Taco Bell partnership that he has.
Yeah.
He's mentioned it twice. He tweeted about it. Or not
Wow.
tweeted, he posted to Instagram. He wants to get in on that sponsorship.
Okay.
And then he talked to Pat McAfee about maybe there's a deal to get number 17 if he cuts him in on the Taco Bell money. Now,
good for him.
Now, Puka Nacua had a problem with fast food. He was kind of hooked on the convenience of French fries and burgers, and Cooper Kupp got him out of that. Cooper Kupp was the one that like taught him, nutrition, and they were working out, and he was throwing up and getting all the bad effects from fast food. So
you're
keep
saying
your eye out if he puts
signing could have some ramifications, is what you're saying?
Maybe
some Taco Bell ramifications, some late night door dashing.
I've eaten Taco Bell like once in the past year, and it is great for those late night cravings. I'll say,
dude, I was doing. So me and my wife went through a phase where we were just like using DoorDash way too much. It's so easy, but it's like, but it's all like you're getting all like bad food, especially when you use it at night. So we were starting to do really good. Then last week, it rained, and it's going to rain again this week. Got on a little DoorDash bender, and I think it was we hadn't done at least we still hadn't done like late night. It was just like dinner. I just had the urge. I couldn't sustain it. I think it was Thursday night. We're watching that new Netflix show based on Jeannie Buss, and had to order some late night Taco Bell at like 11 o'clock. And I felt it the next morning. So Puka, don't get on that train.
Stay healthy. Stay lean, baby.
Yeah. So as you can hear, my wife, I'm sure you can hear the blender going on out there, making dinner with something as my daughter sneaks in here. But yeah, so good on Adams getting here. We'll see. I'm curious. You think Puka keeps 17, or do you think I think his college number was like 15? You think he goes back to like his college number and gives Davante 17, or?
I don't know. That's a good question. Some guys are really, really tied to their numbers. They take it pretty seriously. Who doesn't is Darius Williams. If you go look at his past, he's had like 8 different numbers, I think, over his years. But that's neither here nor there. I think Puka should be able to keep it.
Yeah, I think he's earned it. Sometimes it's like a superstition thing, right? Like he was almost rookie of the year in that number. Like he's become an elite receiver in that number. Like if you were to change and also have a down year, it's like, it's the number because I changed the number. So,
well, Michael Jordan going to 45. It didn't work out. 23 is the magic.
Yeah. Look, Kobe was probably one of the only ones that, Kobe and LeBron has changed his number too. But
that's true.
Yeah. Daughter's about to slam the door, so I had to mute real quick. Beauty of doing live in the evening, whether you have a family in a small apartment. But all right, let's move on. So 6 transactions today. Officially, the tampering period began today, March 10th. The deals become official on Wednesday, March 12th, but unless pending physicals, all of them are fairly done, except one that hasn't even been officially reported, but we got you covered here at LAFB. So what do you want to hit each of these, or do you want to just talk kind of like, I guess, generally about all of them? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, well, I think we should list them off and then kind of go through them a little bit more in depth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, 2. Okay. Well, I guess 2 of these we don't even have to talk about because we did last episode. 2 of the in-house re-signings were Alaric Jackson, 3-year deal worth $57.75 million, $30 million guaranteed. At signing, total guarantee is $35.425 million, makes him roughly the 9th highest paid left tackle in football. We talked about that when it happened about a week ago after the Stafford deal was redone. And then Tutu Atwell, just a few days ago, signed a 1-year deal worth $10 million, fully guaranteed. It was 5 guaranteed at signing and 5 base salaries. So we talked about that last episode. So then the next ones were just Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll just go one at a time. So Jimmy Garoppolo re-signed. It's looking like an $11 million 1-year deal for Jimmy G, back as the backup. I don't necessarily have a problem with this, but I'll just toss to you. What are your thoughts on Jimmy G back on a 1-year deal?
I'd like it a little less expensive. I think that's probably my only gripe. I mean, other than the player himself, but McVay loves him. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And he's won some games. He's won some games as a professional football player. So I'm fine with it. Just a little expensive, I think. But, with where Stafford is, you need a competent guy out there. You need a guy that has won games. That's Garoppolo. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't love Jimmy G, but I think it speaks to that they want an adult as a backup running, and not a, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but they want someone that's like, they can come in if needed and can win a couple ball games. They're not, obviously, whatever the reports were during the whole Stafford debacle, they're not moving forward in the future with Jimmy G, especially at his age after Stafford's done. But regardless what you think about him, if he had to come and play 3 games, I think you feel like you can win those 3 games. Whereas clearly we've felt this way, include the Rams do too. If Stetson Bennett's your number 2 going in, you don't feel that confident. And I still think this means the Rams, or I should say, this won't stop the Rams from drafting a QB in the draft, which we've talked about a lot. And I think we'll talk about more as we get into draft talk. But this, at least, as we've said many times, you don't want to go into the draft with glaring needs. You want to go into the draft building upon your already foundation. And so now if they go draft a quarterback in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever round, great. They can develop him. He's sitting as QB3 behind Jimmy G and Stafford. There's no pressure there. Whereas if they didn't sign Jimmy G or another quarterback for that matter, you're drafting a guy to be your backup as a rookie, or duke it out with Stetson Bennett, obviously. So I agree. A little rich, $11 million for a backup. I mean, that's pretty pricey. I don't love that, especially when all the years of having like John Wolford for like $800,000 or whatever he made as a backup. Like, definitely a little steep paying $11 million, but if you got a 37-year-old quarterback, if you got a guy that can run the system, I guess you make it happen just to cover your back.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the great things about this team right now is they have so many bases covered with rookie contracts right now that you can do a thing like go get Davante Adams. You can pay a number 2 receiver like a number 1 receiver. You can get an expensive backup quarterback to protect the ever increasingly brittle Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. And I think with these in-house signings, what's great about all of them is in the past we've seen the Todd Gurley 5-year deal, Jared Goff 5-year deal, even the Allen Robinson 3-year deal. Like you're stretching those a little deep to where the Rams run into trouble. These ones, you get Jackson is the big one at 3 years, 1 year, Jimmy G 1 year, Davante Adams 2 years. So you're kind of like signing really good value for this season, but you're not overstretching to where when these rookies need to get paid, the Durant, the Kobe Turners, the Byron Youngs, eventually, obviously, Jerry Versness, you're not still holding on to these existing contracts way long. Those will all be either new contracts again, or just off the books. So it's good to see finally we're getting some shorter term deals that won't kind of screw them in the future.
And it really shows there's a Super Bowl window now.
Yeah.
It's 2 years, 1 to 2 years really. So but
clearly
it's legit. It's a legit window. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Love it. So the other official, I think this is the last official signing. Again, nothing's official until Wednesday, but this is the reported by everyone. Poona Ford, 3-year deal. So, keeps it under 3 years again, or under 4 years as a 3-year deal. 29.6 million is the total of those 3 years. Played with the Chargers last year. This feels like a guy that, this is basically, we've talked about it. We've written about it. Everyone on Twitter or X knows about it. Bobby Brown, I think, was a great player, but was not happy with his role, and he voiced that publicly. Not necessarily bad mouthing, but just saying, he wasn't given the opportunity he felt to prove himself as a pass rusher and was only deemed as a run stopper. And so Poona Ford basically feels like a legit just replacement for Bobby Brown, because while Poona Ford can bring pressure in the middle, similar to what Bobby Brown did, his main role is stopping the run. He's a big body that's going to plug up the middle, that can be next to Kobe Turner and stop the run. And so I think they probably said, we need a guy that understands that role. Poona Ford has done that in his career, kind of broke out last year with the Chargers a little bit, and he's going to do that for us. So it felt like just a pure, and I like the signing, but it felt like just a pure replacement for Bobby Brown in a way.
Yeah, and one they needed to make too. I mean, the run defense last year cost them games. I
Yeah.
mean, just go
Yeah.
look at some stat lines
Every
from
game.
the Eagles games. So it's, he's 5'11", 310 pounds. I mean, this guy is just built to just plug running gaps. So it's perfect. So, Bobby Brown now with the Panthers, just tie that one in right here. So
Yeah.
adios, Bobby Brown. I hope you enjoy run stopping better on the East Coast. But yeah, Poona Ford really had a nice year for himself last year. Just in terms of run defense grade, 80.3 from PFF. You got to like that. 23 stops, good amount of tackles for loss, 8 tackles for loss, 5 passes defended. So he's batting passes down at the line of scrimmage as well, even at 5'11".
Look
So
at that. Get up, young man. Get up.
yeah. So I mean, I love the Davante Adams one, but this is like, it meets such a big need for the team, and such quality player. And how many years was the contract?
3-year.
That's,
3-year,
I
just
mean,
under 30 million. So under 10 mil a year.
just to answer this quick question, Ernest Jones has been re-signed already by the Seattle Seahawks. The linebacker market is drying up pretty quickly. I don't know if we'll have a chance to talk about that at all, but unfortunately, my guy, your guy, our guy, Ernest Jones, find a new home in division. Don't like that.
Yeah. No, we'll end the live, I think, with some linebacker talk, because that's obviously the biggest need. And as the Rams have proven, that's not a position they clearly highly value. I wouldn't say value, but highly value, at least in free agency. So, yeah. Poona Ford, great sign. Did you see? I love just how petty people are. Jordan R. Reed, after the signing, like tweeted out about Poona, and I'm paraphrasing, but said something to the tune, and she didn't mean this, but said something to the Rams like his pass rushing upside. And everyone just ran with that, like, oh, what a jab at Bobby Brown, like he was kind of replacement, and say the pass rushing upside. And she like quickly was like, that's not what I meant. That's just what they said. Had nothing to do with Bobby Brown, but I gotta love the pettiness. Gotta love it.
Yeah. I mean, never mind. I don't need to go into it. My thoughts are out there about Bobby Brown.
Yeah. So I think this is best for both parties. So, I love Poona Ford staying in LA. He was really good with the Chargers, and was kind of thrust into a real starting role in a way without having much experience, just because of the lack of depth at defensive tackle position the Chargers had. And obviously, I'm sure Rams fans know the Chargers had one of the best defenses and run defenses in all of football, with lesser known guys. So adding that to the Rams arsenal, I think is great. So, all right, last one that is not official, and then we'll talk linebackers. So not official. I don't even think any of the big wigs, the big insiders had tweeted it out, but Courtney Cronin of ESPN, so an official source, basically saying, and then we reported over here at LAFB, that Coleman Shelton is returning to the Rams. He played obviously center for the Rams 2 years ago. Last year went to the Bears, started all 17 games for the Bears at center, and now coming back to the Rams. So we don't know the extent of the deal, the number of years, or the price, but does look like he is going to be coming back to the Rams. And so I like this signing. I'm just curious your thoughts, Skinny. Does this to you signify he is the starting center and Bo Limmer's the backup, or are they going to have a true kind of center competition going into camp?
I think they're going to have a competition. Coleman Shelton wasn't great last year for the Bears. The Bears were an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah, terrible offensive line.
Yeah. So in terms of the guys around him, I mean, they completely rebuilt their offensive line already. 3 new guys along that. So there's a reason for that. But I think it's going to be an open competition. Bo Limmer didn't play lights out. He was pretty bad in pass coverage. Go back and watch that last play against the Eagles and see how terribly he tried to block Jalen Carter with one hand. You can't do that. There's a reason that Kyron Williams was playing in the A gap between the center and the guard a lot. He was in pass protection 179 times, sometimes in that spot there in the A gap. And, it would be nice to be able to get some of those snaps back for Kyron, that he doesn't have to do that. So I think competition here is good. I think drafting a center as well. Maybe in the first round. I don't think many people would like that, but Good prospects at that point, depending on who's available. But yeah, this is such a Rams move too, bringing back the guy, so I think, is it an upgrade? Is it a downgrade? I think it's a competition grade. I think it's good to, get some bites at the apple, see who can win the job.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't think they're. I mean, it's disrespectful. I don't think there's an extreme talent difference to where one guy should be deemed the starter going in. It should be a true competition. Clearly move Steve Avila back to where he should be as he finished the season at guard. You have your tackles set with, Havenstein and obviously signing Larry Jackson, Kevin Dotson still at right guard. So everything's set. And then you do this kind of 2-player battle at center, probably even draft a guy in the later rounds and add to that. So kind of wide open at center position. Just our guy Justin Dedich can still, I know he played guard for the injured guys early in the season and whatnot, but he can even battle for that center spot as he's a versatile offensive lineman. So but yeah, I agree. I think, great, depending on what the price point is, but I'm guessing it didn't cost the Rams an arm and a leg. So why would you not bring a guy back that played in this system and played pretty well for the Rams? He was a guy I wanted them to keep 2 years ago just because of the, the familiarity that he had with the team. And so when they let him walk, it is what it is. We rest this history, but he's back, it looks like. So that's great. I just saw not that this pertains to the Rams, but the Chargers just signed Najee Harris. So they do get finally like a decent name player.
Yeah, no wide receiver yet for you, unfortunate Chargers fans. You're stuck with Lad McConkey, and I guess, I don't know, Quentin Johnson.
That's it. Yeah.
We'll
not
see.
the Rams. Not the Rams problem.
Not at all.
The lack of love for receivers with not just, I won't say the Chargers, but just with Harbaugh and Greg Roman is just fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, they got to a Super Bowl with Michael Crabtree.
That they did. That they did.
They also had Vernon Davis, but
So see, that's the thing. If the Chargers go and get like a premier tight end and not have Will Dissly as your tight end 1, then it's like, okay, you can make sense of it all. But they haven't even gone and gotten one of those. All the tight ends are going off. So it's just interesting. But anyway, that's a whole nother. Yeah. I'm sure Dan and Jake are talking right now live about that. As we're doing this. So I just saw we just popped over on Twitter live. So I don't know if something got fixed or what, but for anyone over on Twitter, what up? Welcome. Sorry you're joining 30 minutes late, but I guess we're live on Twitter now. So
excellent.
Yeah. All right, quickly before we just read that. So Shelton was a human turnstile at center for us. I can't name a DT that didn't bully him out of his lunch money.
So maybe our good boy JJ Fording here is for drafting with me. Maybe he's on my team. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not against that either. Like I said, I just think it just adds competition. You're definitely not, in my opinion. I hope you're not bringing Sheldon to be like your foregone conclusion starter. We'll see. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. But all right. Well, let's before we talk linebackers, I'm a little sad to see Michael Hoyt gone. Michael Hoyt gets a big contract with the Bills. You surprised he got that much money? He got a pretty fat deal.
I am, and the Bills are a weird team.
The Bills are they are.
They have a big admiration for the Rams, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They actually took a shot at them a couple of years ago for kind of buying a Super Bowl. The same thing everybody's been saying, but a lot of money. So I'm not surprised that the Rams didn't match that. I've taken my shots at Michael Hoyt just because he drops into coverage. That's not his fault, but he dropped around 40 pounds to get into shape to move from interior defensive line to the edge. And he turned into a really versatile piece. Just 27 years old now, kind of moved all over the place, made some big plays, made some important plays for the Rams. Real scrapper. I love my Ivy League guys. He was a Brown Bear. So
Brown Bear, baby.
He's a thinker, apparently.
Yeah, smart guy. I'm gonna miss him throwing up the LA after every play.
He's gonna have to do like a BB. Like what's
I know, like what do you even we used to do when I went to Long Beach State, we'd do this was like LB. It's hard to like really tell from your fingers, but
oh sure. Yeah.
LB. Yeah. Not that anyone cares, but I know I'm gonna miss that. Like he embodied like LA, even though he went to Brown, but he like embodied being an LA Ram. So, and he, like you said, I think the thing I loved most about Michael Hoyt is the years all blend together. I think it was 2 years ago when the Rams were just so injury riddled. And he was like a D tackle that they then moved to outside edge, dropping into coverage. And he like embraced the role. Like he was your true, like, hey, where do you need me? I just want to be on the field. Like it wasn't a prima donna. Knew he had a long shot of even playing in the NFL, just happy to be here. And whatever the Rams asked him to do, like he did. And he actually got better and better and better. And last year, he was like a viable, he wasn't just like on the field at a necessity like he was in 2 years ago. Like he was a viable player, like a real disruptor, got after the quarterback. I still didn't like when they had him in coverage on tight ends. Like that was still a mistake, but what edge do you want in coverage on tight ends? That wasn't his fault, but he was a viable player. So I just loved how he continually got better and better and better every year, embraced whatever role they gave him. And I'm going to miss him.
I wonder if this will trigger like going after a guy like we want Isaiah Simmons or something like that. A linebacker who can play in coverage, maybe can do the line of scrimmage. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see what they do to, kind of adjust to that void now. And the good news, he's going to be a sixth or seventh round comp draft pick. So the Rams will have an extra draft pick for this reason. So that's pretty cool. Also, another reason I love the Rams, he was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. This is the best stories. That's what we would be. We would be undrafted free agents,
Lunch pail guys.
Lunch pail. Just bring your lunch pail to work. Grinders.
Yeah.
Do it all. Whatever the coach asked you. And that was my role in high school. Saying, what do you want me to do? I'll do my best.
Put me
not very good, but I'll like Rudy. Just gonna grind.
Exactly.
So, all right. Should we end with some linebacker talk here?
Hunter Longon, we already mentioned that. No trade for Cup, we already mentioned that. Yeah, let's. Well, there's a couple of positions we could talk about. I don't know if we want to go into depth on all of them, but I mean, linebacker, cornerback, running back, and tight end are what I have as team needs still.
Yeah,
still a couple of good cornerbacks out there. Let's start with linebacker.
So obviously the big one's gone that we were kind of hoping for. Some gone before free agency actually hit with I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Kansas City, Nick Bolton getting signed yesterday. But Dre Greenlaw, I know it would have been weird seeing him as a Ram, being the Rams fans hate him being a Niner, but a good linebacker, arguably the best one on the market. He ends up signing with Denver. And then Robert Spillane was another one we kind of talked about. Obviously played for the Vegas Knights. Vegas Knights is the hockey team, Vegas Raiders. He signs with the Patriots. He was another true, like, what I liked about him is he was like a lunch pail guy, low draft pick, came in, just grinded and became like a true like linebacker. Where you picture linebacker, that was Spillane. So he's gone. But still some options out there that they could go for. But I don't know. It feels like this is going to be end up re-signing Christian Roseboom, and you're running it back with Christian Roseboom. And we just said we love undrafted free agents. So, and their undrafted free agent out of LSU, Omar Spates, and then potentially draft someone late. It just feels like that's going to happen because the Rams just don't seem to value the linebacker position. But is there a name or two you're looking at, or are you just thinking that's probably what's going to happen?
I mean, because they don't value them that highly. And all the good ones, I mean, not all the good ones, all the highly rated ones are gone. But take a flyer on Davante David. Can I interest you in that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kaiser White.
I think he re-signed already, didn't he?
Davante David?
I think he just said today re-signed with the Buccaneers.
These live trackers, they're a little slow.
Yeah, maybe. It could be. I don't remember seeing that. I'm honestly just looking at over the cap and they have him as re-signed, but that could be
Tampa Bay.
Oh no,
he did. Oh, okay. Cool. EJ Speed. I don't know if he's an upgrade or not, but just another name to throw in the hat, I guess.
Yeah, there's I mean, Eric Kendricks, maybe. I mean, he's getting old, 33 years old for a linebacker. Obviously an LA guy, played at UCLA, ended up playing a year for the Chargers and was with the Cowboys last year. So if you want to just get a name in the room for a cheap deal. But yeah, I don't think there's anyone that's like jumping off that I'm like, all right, that's the guy that's going to come in and just, start and take over the room right away. But we'll see it. We talked about this at the trade deadline. I still think you take a flyer on Devin White. That's still a
Yeah.
name. Like, the dude's 27 years old, former 5th overall pick. Was almost an all-pro in his early years with the Buccaneers. It ended really weird. Goes to, where did he go? The Giants after, and ended up getting like benched and then cut. And it was like not like a locker room, like he's just like a bad person, but just like not a fit or whatever. But like I've said, like, if there's any team that can rehabilitate careers, it's the Rams.
Yeah.
And the dude obviously has talent. I mean, he showed it. And it'd be one thing if he was drafted 5th and was just a bust, but he had like 4 good years, and then just like his last tier fell off or whatever after the Bucks won their Super Bowl. But he was like a starter, along with him and Davante David were like the 2 best linebackers in football as a pair. So that's still a name I would love to see him take a flyer on.
Yeah, no, it's a good one, and I think this is a position that you know, you don't necessarily need Fred Warner in there. You don't need to go get that guy.
Mhm.
You just need an upgrade. They just
Yeah.
need an upgrade from Roseboom. I mean, if you want to talk about run defense, the
Mhm.
defensive line was a problem, but Roseboom was a problem. I mean, so many missed tackles.
Yeah.
He cleaned it up towards the end of the year, but you know, with linebacker, it's like one of those things where it's like they make a lot of tackles because they're in the right position, and you know, with Roseboom, it was like he didn't get counted as a missed tackle
He was just in the
because
wrong
he
gap.
wasn't even in the right position.
Yeah. Read it
He-
completely wrong.
yeah, so they just need an upgrade. So I think any of those names are an upgrade, and you know, and they probably won't cost an arm and a leg. So
Yeah. I mean, they have to upgrade at that position. Have to, whether they get lucky with a cheap option or go after one of the bigger name that there's not a lot left, but go after one of the bigger names that is left. Because yeah, I mean, I think that's such an important part of the run defense. And if you're seeing backs getting to the 3rd level on multiple runs, it's typically like, yeah, obviously the defensive line has a say in that, but it's typically linebackers that clean that up, or you know, you're playing as a unit, right? So if there's all of a sudden 3 guys in the same gap, that's why you're seeing Saquon Barkley run for 65 and on his way to the end zone.
yeah, 100%.
So all right, what was the other position you said? You said corner.
Corner,
Tight end?
yeah, I have Asante Samuel and Christian Fulton written down. I think Asante Samuel Young was injured last year. Weird injury, shoulder stinger, kind of lingering.
Mm-hmm.
So if that all checks out, I'd be totally for that. You know, on a 3-year deal, even Christian Fulton, probably just kind of a rental idea. Just pick him up for 1 year. Cornerback's really been picked over as well already. First day of not of tampering, and all these positions are getting picked over. It's incredible.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I like Asante Samuel, especially at his age.
I think Asante Samuel would be great if he can be fully healthy from that shoulder springer or stinger or whatever he was going through, some like nerve stingness. If that's fully healthy, that's a home run. He played really good in his career all through the Chargers until the injury last year. So I think I love that. I still have an affinity for Adoree Jackson. I think I bring it up every time we talk cornerback free agents. Being a USC legend, but 30 years old. He's going to be a lot cheaper now this year than he was last year when we talked about him. So I think he's still out there as a guy you can get. And then we talked about it a few weeks ago. But I'm also in the camp of like taking a flyer on Jeff Okudah. Like 26-year-olds played like 7% of snaps last year with the Texans. Obviously, there's a reason for that. Like he wasn't good enough to be on the field, or whether there was some injury stuff there as well. But again, 3rd overall pick. Like if you're going to take a flyer on like a 33-year-old, 34-year-old to see if they still got it, like why not take a flyer on a 26-year-old that was a 3rd overall pick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're doing it with Emmanuel Forbes. I think he's still on the roster.
Yeah.
So
You just want to make sure it's not windy outside if he's on the field. So at least
yeah,
Okudah can probably keep his feet on the ground if there's a gust of wind.
he's the complete opposite of Poona Ford.
Yeah. I hope they become like roommates or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
Fantastic.
the only other free agent idea I have here is just to change a pace at running back. Bring in J.K. Dobbins. Proved he's still got some explosiveness. He's not going to be the most he's going to be injury prone. He went down with a bit of an injury this year, nothing season ending or anything like that, but just an explosive back in the backfield. Yeah, I mean, just to, Kyron Williams is great at what he does, but he's lacking in that kind of explosive, second level, run away from the linebacker speed.
Yeah, you're really leaning into this poach the Chargers thing. I like it. I like it.
Hey, they were an 11-win team last year.
Yeah, and most likely Cup's going to end up with the Chargers, so why not? A lot of people think this JJ Fording. A lot of people. Can we please bring back Akello? Go ahead, Skinny. You put it on there, so I'll let you talk first.
Yeah, from the Rams, they are interested in bringing him back. Now, what that means, what that looks like in practice, he made some good plays. I think he's lost a step or two, just my opinion. But he did make some really important plays, and he stepped up when they really needed him. You gotta love that.
Yeah. This is always interesting because last year, after they had him play the previous year, last offseason, it was like, yeah, there's mutual interest. They both wanted to get a deal done. Then nothing happened until like the season had already started, and then eventually it does. And then now here we are again. Yep, mutual interest. We'd love to make it happen. So it's just, I don't know if he's wanting to just test the market and see if he can get higher value, but the Rams are holding firm at like, this is what we'll give you. Or if the Rams are wanting to see if they can get someone better, but if they can't, they'll go back to him. Like, it's kind of it's weird when both sides are like, yep, we love it here. There's mutual interest. Want to make it happen. Then it just takes like months to actually happen. It's always weird.
It's like that one friend of yours that you've hung out with a few times, and it's convenient, and you call them up late at night, say, hey, what you up?
Oh, so not a friend, like
a friend, but
with Benny's.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
let's try to keep it PG.
Okay, yeah, you can just say friend with Benny's. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's probably a fair relationship assumption between the two. Yeah, each are kind of testing the markets of what they can get more of, and when they dry up, they're like, all right, let's just Netflix and chill. We'll just
let's do this.
We'll just come back and make it happen. But I do think he's a good fit. Again, I don't think I think some people probably think he's like CB1 with the Rams. Like if that's CB1, then you have kind of issues, but I don't think he's bad. I think he knows the system, and definitely a viable piece of this defense that knows it well, knows the scheme, plays well with the guys, knows the guys. So yeah, I'd love to see him back if they can make it happen. So let's get this last comment, then we can get out of here. What we got here? What do we got here from JJ? Instead,
I was trying to Tre'Davious White is what's his nuts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, who is he referring to?
Yeah, that was an experiment that went south real quick.
Yeah, and they bailed on that real quick. I mean, what was it, week 3 when they cut ties?
Yeah, I think he was a healthy scratch for a few weeks and then out.
Yeah, and he was still young, but he was obviously coming off some pretty brutal injuries. So, So yeah, I mean that kind of begs the question, right? Like, do you go after a proven guy that's getting older, but at least he's like stayed healthy and played, or do you go take a flyer on a young kid that's hasn't lived up to their hype but is still super young? I think either one is fine because I don't think at this point they're not getting a CB1 at this point. I mean, Asante Samuel Jr. honestly, if he's fully healthy, he can be CB1. Like he was that good with the Chargers at times in Brandon Staley's horrific defense for those years. So, if you have him with Darius Williams and Kobe Durant and whatnot, like that's pretty solid. But again, it's just how healthy he is.
Yeah, for sure. And the Rams are coming to a head with their secondary. It's going to be a really interesting time over the next couple of years because next year's rookie class, needing new contracts. That is, that's Kobe Durant, that's Darian Kendrick, that's Quentin Lake.
Yeah,
all those guys are either gone or going to need a new contract, and probably gone.
That's real
for
quick.
the most part. I think.
Let's look at that whole draft class. That's a great.
They drafted so many. Well, not Tre'Davious White, Trey Tomlinson. They moved on from him. We didn't mention that one yet. He's now a 49er.
Logan Bruss already gone.
Yeah, that whole draft class.
I mean, so literally out of it. So I'll just read it really fast. Logan Bruss, Jacoby Durant, Kyron Williams, Quentin Lake, Darren Kendrick, Daniel Hardy, Russ Yeast, AJ Arcuri. I mean, if I'm betting, again, hopefully this season can change things, but if I'm betting, it might be Lake and that's it. And I love maybe Kobe Durant also. And that's not saying I don't love. that's not saying I don't love Kyron Williams. I'm just saying based on how the Rams have played the running back market since Todd Gurley, it's just draft and replace. Like, I don't know if they're going to re-sign a running back.
I don't even know if Quentin Lake makes it, and I'm a big supporter of that guy. But it's going to be interesting with the secondary, this year, next year, they're going to have to add some bodies, and they're going to have to add longer contracts. So a guy like Asante Samuel over, running it back with Akello makes a little bit more sense because it gets you, beyond that kind of cutoff date where you're going to end up paying a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So they're going to draft some this year, and they got to get a young guy in there. I mean, Darius Williams is 33 years old.
Yeah.
And he's still playing great. But there's an end. There's got to be an end. So that's still the big glaring weakness. They did a fantastic job drafting and just completely renovating the defensive line over the last 2 years. So I think kind of they're gonna have to do something like that for the cornerbacks.
Yeah. Well, and now another Byron Murphy just extended with the Vikings. So that was a big corner that potentially was out there who I loved a lot. Had familiarity with Jimmy Lake, played for Jimmy Lake at Washington, University of Washington. So there were some ties there. But just comes across the news desk. Signs with the Vikings, 3 years, $66 million deal, $22 million average. That's pretty beefy. It's a lot of cheddar. It's a lot of quiche. Is that more than what I
don't speak Spanish.
Pat Surtain's getting? I know Pat Surtain became the highest paid, and then JC Horn just today surpassed him.
Yeah.
Does that pass them now for year over year? I don't know. I've been just looking at contract numbers all day. I don't know what is with what position anymore.
Little LA tie-in here.
All right.
100%. What about Schlesinger?
Yeah.
Schlesinger.
I'd rather have Carson Schlesinger. Yeah. K. Madrano has a lot of physical tools, and thanks Willie Bowen for the comment. But K. Madrano has a lot of those intangible tools, and he showed up at the combine. I think he was the fastest linebacker in the 40 at the combine. But Schlesinger just productivity. I mean, it was unreal what he did last year with UCLA. Came out of nowhere. Just some dude that no one had heard of. No one could say his last name, and all of a sudden he leads the Big Ten in tackles. The dude production, and that's what the Rams need. They need a productive backer that can stop the run.
Talk about a guy that's in the right place at the right time all the time, all game long. Now, can that translate to the NFL? I mean, where he falls in the draft, probably second round.
Schlesinger?
Yeah.
I'm so curious his draft stock. Based on production alone, he seems like a second or third round pick, for sure. Yeah. But something about it just tells me he's going to end up falling to the 5th, 6th, or even 7th, which is crazy.
Well, then the Rams can get him. That'd be a Rams special right there.
Rams special. Daniel Hardy 2.0, but actually make the team, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're pushing an hour here. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered good ground, and probably do this tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I think as long as the Rams keep making moves, I think we'll do a live in that 5:30 window every day. So thank you all for hanging out with us. What do you grade today, or just the start? I guess we'll include Davante Adams as today for the Rams. What do you give him for a grade?
B+.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I wouldn't. There wasn't any you see teams, you're like, ooh, that's an overpay. Ooh, you're paying that much for that, or man, they swung and missed. I think the Rams, got good value for Adams. And to me, it was a little rich, but it's a 2-year deal, so I'm fine with that. And he is an upgrade there. And then the rest of their transactions, I think, were all really, really good team deals. So yeah, I think B+ is good. I like that.
Yeah, a couple other big swings, and they'd be in that A+ range, and I would be happy and sleep well. But they're still churning. They got something going.
Something's cooking. I'll say this. Dude. I don't think you're talking skinny tees language, but I don't think a fullback is in the cards.
You know who just got released or will be released?
Oh,
Kyle Juszczyk.
Really? Where the Niners is totally in just full rebuild mode?
Yeah, they are.
I didn't know they were getting rid of or releasing Juszczyk. Is that just because they're all right, we lost everyone else, let's just start over?
They have to. I mean, they were up against the cap, and overpaying a lot of guys. They've got a ton of talented guys. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of positions, top 5 guys.
Yeah.
You got to pay them. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, Willie Bowen, you're talking my language. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. Fullback.
No, I mean, I would love it. I love it. Nothing like a good fullback, but I don't, in the Sean McVay system, I can't see them signing a fullback. Can you? I mean, can you see him in that system?
Are we going to see more 12 personnel this year? Like, he got beat up by Juszczyk over and over again for years. Maybe you go, oh, maybe they got something going there.
And we saw some of those random like personnel packages with what's his name lining up as, I'm trying to blank on his name now, former 7th round pick, Ben Skoranek lining up as like a fullback.
That was a necessity thing.
A necessity, but it was like random personnel. Like they've never run like fullback packages, and they had him like as a fullback. So is that like teasing that they want to run more, but they just didn't see a viable fullback out there? Personally, I don't think so, but you never know. I can't see them taking a roster spot though for a fullback. I just can't do it. I can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
I'm not saying I wouldn't want it. I'm just saying I don't see them doing it. I love a good fullback. I mean, looking Howard Griffith, Mike Allstott.
Looking backward, I think you're absolutely right. But looking forward, I think, this offense could look a lot different without Kupp.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Got a couple people mad in the comments about Kyren Williams fumbling. Absolutely valid.
Which is why I don't think he'll get a big contract re-signing.
Yeah. Such a tough business.
I know. It's just the way they do it. I mean, I will be the first to admit if they do re-sign him that I was wrong. But since Todd Gurley, it's just been this draft and replace. So they'll draft a running back this year too, for sure.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And yeah, if you fumble the rock, I mean, and unfortunately, Kyren Williams, and I love Kyren Williams, but every one of his fumbles was like at critical moments. Every fumble is bad. Any turnover is like, in the grand scheme of a full game, is going to have like repercussions, of course. But it's like, bro, like it's always like, oh, we're driving, or it's like, oh, in a 2-minute situation, or like, oh, in a game-winning situation, like just always critical moments.
He just tries too hard to get an extra half a yard.
Yeah,
and
which I love.
It's what makes him special, but it also allows guys to just peanut punch that thing out.
Bro, just 2 hands, basket that be. Like enough with the bread basket. Like get the full 2 hands, baby.
They got to get a roll of duct tape all off season and just tape his 2 hands to that ball all day long. Yeah. And he can't do anything else.
Yeah, I hate being critical on it because it is like so hard. Like, I mean, it's easy to fumble. Like the fact that there's not more fumbling, honestly, is impressive. Because I mean, I'm a small guy, so I had small arms. The football basically took my entire forearm anyway. Yeah. But like if I wasn't embracing that thing like a newborn child, like I would fumble every single time I got tackled. So it's impressive. It's not more, but you're making millions of dollars as a professional now. Like you gotta alleviate that.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, you've been up for hours. We've all been up for hours. I got to do a USC show now. So I'm gonna be back again. Long day. Love it. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, thanks. Thank you guys for showing up, and I'm always impressed with the turnout for these kinds of things. And go to YouTube, subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Just appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you as always. Rams LAFB is the YouTube. We'll be as long as the Rams make a move, we'll try to go live every day this week. So around this 5:30 hour. I know we didn't. This was just spur of the moment. So look for us around 5:30ish. Tomorrow as well. We'll try to make it happen. But thank you as always, everyone, for hanging out. If you listen in on podcasts, Rams Skinnies, we can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And all of our Rams content, as well as all of our Los Angeles sports content, is at LAFBnetwork.com. So appreciate all of you so much. I think a good first day for the Rams. I think they got a lot more cooking, even though they don't have a ton of money. I think they're sitting around 28 million now left or whatever. When these deals kind of finalize. So we'll see what's really left. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have a little more clarity on that. We can update. But thank you all. Skinny T, you're the man. Great work today. Everyone be well. Talk to you all hopefully again tomorrow.